What's going on, guys? John Anthony, welcome back, Chair Shot Sports. A lot of things to unpack, a lot of things to get into this week. Obviously, still a lot of fallout coming down from the Vegas conference for the WrestleMania kickoff show. Also, on the road to WrestleMania, we have the Elimination Chamber coming up. I also want to touch on some early predictions for WrestleMania. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Thank you again for joining us. I'm John Anthony here at Chair Shot Sports. If you haven't already, please make sure you're following us on Twitter, also on Spotify, YouTube, and also Instagram as well. We appreciate all the likes, all the follows, and all the feedback back for us so we can just keep making this content 110% better for you guys. So, with that being said, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I guess there's the one place I want to start to kind of kick off kind of things from the last time we left each other. I was talking about the Vegas conference. We talked about TNA a little bit as well, and also the state of AEW and how them getting better, bigger and better is going to be even better for WWE. So if you notice right here on the desk, in all the episodes, I like to change up the belts a little bit. I have the old WCW World Heavyweight Championship, and I have it here for a reason. And if you're listening on Spotify, just so you know, that's the belt I have on the desk. Because I want to talk about Seth Rollins. A lot of things have happened and transpired. I've heard a lot of people talking about what happens with Seth Rollins now. What are we doing with Seth Rollins? Where does he fit into the main event? Where does he fit in to WrestleMania? A lot of comments, a lot of opinions, everywhere from, well, he could still make the World Heavyweight Championship look great at WrestleMania, all the way to what is he even doing on the card at this point for what the title must mean on TV for what's happened. So let's start there. Bottom line, my opinion right now is that a lot of what's going on and what we've seen in the past 2 to 3 weeks, I guess you'd have to say it's a change/pivot. No one planned on Brock Lesnar being taken out of the company indefinitely because of a lot of allegations that have been brought his way. Also, no one foresaw CM Punk getting injured in the Royal Rumble. For those of you, unless you're under a rock, you can pretty much see what was supposed to happen with Cody winning the Rumble and CM Punk being the runner-up. Punk would go and get his shot against Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title over on Raw. Take those two away. Obviously, a lot of things going on with the ex-chairman. The Rock gets brought in, gets put on the TKO board, legitimately, not kayfabe. Rock wants to be involved in WrestleMania. Starts talking about should he sit at the head of the table, what's going on with him and Roman. So a lot of things thrown into one and kind of all balled up. WWE clearly is working on the fly here. Paul is probably doing a lot of late night work with Tony Khan. With Nick Khan, doing a lot of work, trying to get all this figured out with only maybe 7 to 8 weeks left, and also the Elimination Chamber looming 2 weeks away. So here's what I think is going on. Seth Rollins is clearly still wrestling hurt. He's still hurt. He's not medically cleared. So he's making appearances, he's coming on Raw, he's cutting promos. He's still a face because he's a face that they need right now on television with no CM Punk, with no Brock Lesnar. He's the guy they need to still step up and still be there to help out. So with that being said, I have my own idea of what's going on for WrestleMania. Obviously, at that point, it's supposed to be, they said it's 2 to 3 months. If you do some Googling and some research on his injury, it's a 6 to 8 week injury recovery time. So what I think is going on is, obviously they rolled the Rock out. Okay, it's Rock and Roman. Let's go. Let's roll this. Everyone's gonna love it. People have wanted it for years. They've been clamoring for it ever since WrestleMania was in Hollywood. Well, guess what? Cody won the Rumble, points to the sign, turns around, points to Roman, and then you're gonna tell me that Cody's just gonna fumble his opportunity over to the Rock, for the Rock to go and main event WrestleMania, a la CM Punk before Punk left the company 10 years ago. So Seth's role really is, until Mania, is he's really just kind of an accessory piece to get to the event. A lot of people are asking why he was at the kickoff event in Las Vegas, why he was even on stage when they're clearly focusing on Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, and The Rock. There's a very, very big reason for that. Seth was he was almost like the voice of the people who were sitting at home watching that when Roman's like, listen, this guy couldn't make a choice. I'm making the choice. I'm going to tell you who I face at Mania. And Seth is like, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. So Seth being that voice of the voiceless, here comes Cody. Cody comes out. Cody sees what's going on between Dwayne and Roman. Now it's not even for the title anymore. We're just here trying to make this a bloodline WrestleMania main event. Because in The Rock's eyes, that's what's best for business. And that's where the corporate heel character is starting to come out and make itself apparent. Even going on Pat McAfee earlier in the day, the Cody crybabies, talking about chicken nuggets, all this other stuff. classic heel Rock promo, which I'm here for. I think The Rock does some of his best work as a heel. He really does. He can get over any time as you know, the people's champ coming out, beating people's asses, giving if you smells, it doesn't matter, all that stuff. He can get over it with any of that. But heel Rock is very, very special. He listens to that crowd and just makes sure he says the right things at the right time to make sure that he's putting his finger on the pulse and getting that reaction he needs to as a heel. But regardless, so with that being said, Cody comes out. This is BS. What are we doing here? Seth is still standing there. Seth isn't really doing anything. Cody says what he says about the bloodline, about the family, things like that. Slap heard around the world. Rock knocks the taste out of Cody's mouth, and Seth goes off. Go back and watch it. If you haven't watched it, or if you just watched it and never really watched around what's going on, watch what happens after Cody takes the punch. Just watch what happens. Watch what Seth is doing. Seth is throwing the World Heavyweight Championship around. He's in everyone's face. He's trying to get past Triple H, and the agent's trying to get over to Roman and The Rock. It's almost like they slapped him. You would think he was in the match. Everything starts to die down. They get Cody out of there. Rock and Roman are still standing there. They're trying to usher Seth out of there. Seth is just talking trash to The Rock, talking trash to Roman. Then obviously as Triple H is talking to a reporter, talking about the happenings on the stage, obviously Rock stops, tells him, fix this. You fix this or we're going to fix it. And this is actually a really funny time to watch Roman with The Rock around. For 3+ years, we've been watching Roman lead around the Usos, leading around Solo. Even Paul, the wise man. Heyman's always been at the front of the group. The line starts here. Everyone starts behind me. Not now. At that point, once Cody talked about the High Chief, talked about his grandfather, talked about the lineage, and you saw Rock move forward past Roman to address Cody, to tell him now we have a problem, at that point right there, proverbially, The Rock became the head of the table. Roman's out here doing his best solo when Rock is around. They're walking by Paul Levesque. Fix it or we're going to fix it. And Rock walks away. You see Roman look at Triple H pretty much like, yeah, what he said. Yeah, you heard him. Like a little lackey, walks away. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this Friday night with all three of them, Paul Heyman, The Rock, and Roman Reigns, come to SmackDown to address Paul Levesque and the whole situation of what happened at the kickoff event. So I go back, I say all that to say what's going on with Seth. My idea is that some way, shape, or form, and this is obviously going to go to later in the show when I talk about what's going on for the 2 nights of Mania. There's going to be a tag match. It's going to be The Rock and Roman versus Seth and Cody. I would imagine they put it on night one. You put it on night one. Again, whether or not Seth is 100% cleared, he's going to have to be cleared enough. They're putting a lot of eggs in this basket to have him wrestle. I would imagine they wouldn't put all, they wouldn't even, if you watched the Super Bowl this past weekend, if you watched the big game, you saw the vignette, you saw the 4 of them come together. That's not on purpose. That's by design. Everything counts. Everything matters. If you watch the product, you see everything. You know they were like, hey, let's make sure we put Seth and The Rock in there as well when Cody and Roman meet up together face to face. There's a reason why the 4 of them were put together for millions and millions of people to see during the big game. So we'll talk about a little later as far as match placement where I think things are going to fall. But on it, the tag match is going to happen. It's going to happen at Mania. It's obviously not happening at Perth. Seth isn't going to be ready yet. But the move is to do it at Mania. With that being said, that's kind of how I feel where Seth falls in all of this. Yeah, is Seth the guy who kind of gets the back seat this year? Yes. Does Seth get his main event? Not yet. But he definitely gets a WrestleMania moment. Okay? Clearly, when all this went down, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, whatever else, whatever happened went out the window, they clearly sat with everyone that's within the co-main events of the 2 nights and decide this is what we have to do to get to where we need to be to have this, to still have the allure and to have the impact of being the biggest WrestleMania of all time, being WrestleMania 40. Seth is a worker. He's a workhorse. He's a guy, he loves the business. He's beat up. He's got stitches, bandages, and gum holding him together. The guy goes out there every night. He's out here cutting promos. Amazing promos, by the way. Great promo and mic work from Seth Rollins. It's always good. But I feel like he's stepping it up a notch this time of year going on the road to WrestleMania. This past Monday, an amazing promo with Cody. I mean, just really checking all the boxes, talking about Roman, talking about the past, talking about how Cody needs to finish the story. What happens if he doesn't finish the story? What WWE looks like if we go out of WrestleMania and Roman still has that belt. Amazing work, amazing storytelling. Seth is just a master on that microphone. And he's obviously agreed, listen, this isn't my year. Maybe it was my year. I was going to have my CM Punk moment. I was going to obviously main event night one. Not going to happen this year. But let's take lemons, make them into lemonade, as his wife likes to say. Let's segue out of that and hey, what do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? You need me to come out here every week, go on both shows, you need me to go talk? I can talk. Let me stir the pot, I'll do that. Whatever you need me to do to get to Mania, or I can wrestle. And a tag match is also the best for Seth. When it happens, you still have the match and have Seth not really do a lot of things. Cody and Roman can kind of wear the brunt of it. The Rock and Seth getting in there a little bit, because obviously it's The Rock and Seth who want each other. Cody and Roman you kind of want. So those two the healthy ones can kind of carry it. But I'll explain more of that when we talk about Mania and how I think everything's going to shake out as far as the lineups and what's going on night 1 and night 2. But before Mania is the Elimination Chamber. Looking like a great card. Looking like they're doing an awesome job down in Perth. WWE actually travels well. 5 a.m. If you're listening to this in the United States, February 24th, go to bed early. 5 a.m. on Peacock. The Elimination Chamber's on. I don't really feel too bad about it. I've had a lot of people on Twitter, talking about it, kind of upset about it. Listen, there's been a lot of other people around the rest of the world when we have these events in the United States that have had to get up or stay up very late. Get up early, stay up very late to watch these events. Or had to watch them on repeat, just like a lot of people here in the States are going to do that, don't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, have no reason to. I have kids. The night before, I try to work everything out and I can't because schedule's done a month in advance. So I can't change it. I couldn't switch. So I'm going to go home like around midnight. I'm going to bed for 4 hours. I'm getting up at 4:30, watching that, and then getting my kids up at the same time while I'm watching it. And then that night I just, get some take a nap before I got to go to work the next night. I'm watching it. And for all those also too that subscribe to us, that follow us on Twitter, whenever there's a PLE, whether it be AEW, WWE, NXT, also Raw and SmackDown, we live tweet, we keep along, we try to give the results and try to have, feedback and things like that. I've said it on Twitter, if you haven't seen it, I've made a commitment that we are not going to be tweeting any live things going on at that time. I don't think it's fair, especially at 5 in the morning. You wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, grabbing a cup of coffee. You open up Twitter, and my page is the first one that pops up and tells you, Rhea or somebody, whoever won the the Elimination Chamber, and who won the Men's Chamber, and who won between Nia and Rhea. I don't want to be the guy to spoil that for you. If you're getting up at 8 o'clock, you're going to sit down, we'll start watching it, let someone else ruin it for you. I'm not going to do that to the people that follow us, to our followers and subscribers. So if you don't see us live tweeting, if you're up with us, obviously we'll put a tweet out. Hey, we'll do a check-in, things like that. kind of morale builder to get through the next 3 hours because we're all tired. But we will not be doing any results or anything like that. So yeah, we'll talk about it probably later on in the day. So with that being said, let's start off with the women's match. So far, Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, and Becky Lynch have qualified. Those are the three. There's 3 spots left that we figured out in the next week and a half. It's pretty easy for me to see who those 3 people are going to be. And speaking about going to Perth, you want to bring the roster that nobody gets to see a lot. Obviously, being live down there for this event is huge. You want to bring the star power. You want to bring the names, especially maybe names you don't really see a lot yet. Maybe debuting them at this PLE back onto the roster and back into events and back into storylines. So it's really easy for me. You don't have to go much farther than looking at the Women's Royal Rumble for your 3 names of who are going to qualify. The next 3 people are going to be Naomi, Jade Cargill, and Tiffany Stratton. It's easy. I know Tiffany might be the outlier on that. I'm a huge Tiffany fan. I've watched her in NXT starting from the Daddy's Little Rich Girl gimmick, being so green in the ring, horrible on the mic, talking the way they make fun of Chelsea Green for talking, and just how far she's come now. I've gotten to see her at the Battleground and Deadline NXT PLEs, watching her wrestle live. She's amazing. She's great with the moonsaults, great with the high spots. I think she's come a long way. On the mic, she's good. Definitely understanding how it all works and understanding her role and everything. So I think they sneak her in. Again, it's a no-to-rival name. You get to start her in a rivalry if that's where you want to start it. Do it in the chamber. I think Jade Cargill obviously makes it. This will be her second PLE, obviously debuting at the Rumble. They've had her on TV where she's going to sign. I think she pops out on SmackDown. At the end of the day, I think she goes to SmackDown. And obviously, you put her in the chamber. Who else is in there? Bianca Belair. I would personally want to wait maybe till SummerSlam to let it kind of marinate, kind of do it naturally. But I really think with, again, missing some key faces and key people that you want there, I think you need to build it up. You need to have the names. I think you're going to see the dream match of Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. Naomi is just bringing her back, getting her into a storyline with somebody, whether it be with Liv, her and Liv. Someone eliminates somebody, they form a tag team, however you want to figure it out. But I think just like when we talk about the men's, I think these chambers were made specifically for this reason, to get you to the extra 3 miles to get you to the road to WrestleMania, to get you there over those roads. I'd like to not doing like the roadblock thing anymore. They're just sticking with Elimination Chamber, going to do some solid house show work, and then just go right into to Philadelphia. The winner of that match, number 1 with a bullet, no questions asked, put money on it, is Becky Lynch. This is Becky's year. She's going to Mania. I think it's going to be an amazing match. I think Rhea pulls out over Nia. I think it's going to be an amazing match. Nia's been very dominant. I'm looking for maybe the only swerve I can see happening is it's a DQ, because you don't want, Nia's been on a tear. You don't really want her to become weak going into Mania. Maybe a DQ match. Maybe Becky gets involved, depending on where the match placement is. Maybe the women's opens it. Maybe Becky gets involved, and then maybe it's a triple threat. Maybe Pierce puts them all 3 of them in a match. There's that possibility as well. But I got Becky coming out of the chamber and winning that. Pivoting over to the men's, so far we have Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Bobby Lashley, and LA Knight. Yeah, who have qualified. The funny thing is, if you notice, there's only one Raw superstar in there. That's Drew McIntyre. The other guys have been SmackDown. So it's funny for my other 2 picks. I think it's going to be Logan Paul and Kevin Owens who are going to qualify. So you're going to have 5 SmackDown dudes and 1 Raw guy in Drew McIntyre. It's not going to matter because Drew McIntyre is winning that Elimination Chamber. I think it's even being built like that so they all gang up on the Raw wrestler, and then Drew, even one being able to brag about being the one Raw superstar who was able to like defend the brand and be the one guy that actually from that brand goes to defend and get that title. he's also going to be able to say he beat 5 other SmackDown guys to get that title. Drew has done amazing work, amazing heel work. I know a lot of people are saying with, Seth being kind of downgraded, obviously everything being around the Universal Championship. And that's kind of funny too. They're actually getting away from the Universal. Roman is starting to be advertised as the WWE Heavyweight Champion. Or I'm sorry, the World Champion. So they're getting away from, probably going to drop the Universal name soon. Whatever becomes WWE Champion, that's probably the one, because SmackDown has the WWE's. Yeah, I mean, Drew winning is just really the obvious way to go. None of the other guys right now are ready to go. I think Lashley's going to have some work with the Final Testament. I think Logan Paul is going to win. He's going to get in there, and it's not a coincidence. He's going to be with LA Knight. Again, kind of foreshadowing to what we talk about when our matches come. I think LA Knight and Logan Paul are squaring up for the U.S. title. Knight's going to get his first taste of WWE Gold on the main roster. Yeah, I mean, that is what it is. The only thing, there's no real surprises to me, I think, in these lineups. I mean, if you look to see kind of the people that are in there, and then if you pick the one winner, then take the other 5, and you see kind of where you can line them up, kind of like a Rubik's Cube, and you're like, oh, wait, this person to this person, and there's a line to this person, and that checks out. Oh, okay, then that person can feud with them. It's been done if you look at it and know the product and you watch the product, it all makes sense. And you can find the lines if you really look hard enough. So anyway, women's match, I have Becky coming out. Men's match, I have Drew McIntyre coming out. But out of the one, I think they dropped the ball on having Sammy in this match. I don't know where you would fit him in. I mean, him and KO are kind of interchangeable. It could be KO, Logan Paul, and LA Knight in a triple threat for the U.S. title. But I think getting Sammy in there at some point, I mean, maybe you could have kept Randy out, maybe. Kept him doing something else. Maybe him and AJ Styles, something with that. But yeah. That's really, I think, where they missed on any of these, on any of the wrestlers that are in there. I think it all makes sense. It's all going to really play out really well and be really, some really banger Elimination Chamber matches. So now we have our winners, right? So we've talked about that. Let's talk about night 1 and night 2 early predictions for WrestleMania. Now hear me out. Now I know this is being recorded, so obviously I know you guys are going to come for me on Twitter and on YouTube in the comments. All right. I like to think outside the box a lot of times. If you follow us on Twitter, you know I'm always out here with wacky. We do hit on a lot of those, by the way. I'm definitely batting a good average. First off, obviously, so let's start with night 1. This is how I see it breaking down. So night 1, you have the tag match. You have the Seth Rollins, the Cody Rhodes, Rock and Roman tag match. Okay? It probably starts off the night, to be honest with you. Get the crowd going, get that going. You're not going to have that really main event, because it's not for a belt or anything like that. Not sure yet who Gunther would have for an opponent. He gets Jey Uso, obviously, on Monday night. I don't know, I feel like it might be some weird gimmicky triple threat thing going on. Maybe Imperium gets involved, someone from the New Day. I don't know. I don't really see where they're going with that yet. But definitely Gunther obviously defending at Mania. I have him winning, going over. I think he carries that belt till Berlin, and may possibly even win it there, but at least have the chance to defend it, over there, over in that country. The second one of my out of the box thoughts is there's a specific reason why the tag team tournament that was held to decide who's going to face who. Who's going to face the Judgment Day at Elimination Chamber. There's a reason why it was a SmackDown team that won. There's a reason why it was Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. I can't tell you how. Can't tell you who. As far as interference, DQ, whatever's going to happen. Something's going to happen. Something. I don't think it's even going to be Judgment Day interference. It's going to be something else that happens within the match. Whatever it is going to be so great that the two GMs on Monday night need to come together. Or even they might even do a segment that night at the Elimination Chamber. That maybe Um, Aldis looks over at Pierce and goes, "Listen, my show needs its own set of tag belts." And Raw goes, and Pierce goes, "Oh, my show needs its own pair of tag belts." And I think the 2 weeks leading up, the 5 weeks leading up from Elimination Chamber to WrestleMania, you're going to see a tag tournament for both sides, Raw and SmackDown, and you're going to see new champions crowd for each show at Mania. So that can interchange either way, night 1 and night 2, whatever you want to do, Raw on night 1, SmackDown on Raw on night 2, interchange them back and forth, whatever you want to do. But I think WrestleMania is finally where we see the tag belts separate again in each show, because these tag divisions have been built up tremendously. They've done an amazing job on Raw and on SmackDown with tag teams. And it's not like the stuff we had in the old regime, where these guys are just thrown together, it makes no sense. Like, we were waiting for DIY forever, it never happened. Like, it's just like, you even have like Awesome Truth. Eventually, our Truth is going to be out of the Judgment Day and realize he's out. Him and Miz get back together. They're people number 1 to go after Judgment Day for the men's belts, for the men's tag team titles. The Creed brothers, just all across both brands, amazing. There's a lot of great tag teams in NXT that are waiting to get the call to come up to the main roster and showcase what they can do and go for those belts as well. So that's the second thing. After the tag match that I have with Rock Roman, Seth, Cody, I think Mania is going to see night 1 and 2. You're going to see Raw and SmackDown respectively get their tag titles back. I think night 1 you're going to get a men's tag showcase. Just whatever 4 teams going to make the card. Obviously, you can have them get out there in front of, get the eyes on them, have them show what they can do. Whether you do a fatal 4-way all the way around, where anyone can tag anyone in, something like that. I think that's a good match. It's a way to do it. Everyone can kind of get involved, do wacky spots. It's entertaining, keeps people in it, keeps them going. Kind of like that filler spot to get to the end, to the bottom. And this is kind of where I don't know what exactly is going to be going on, depending on if there is a tag match. There is a tag match. Do you have Seth Rollins wrestle twice in one night? You could, if it opens the match. It's a 3.5 to 4. I mean, you can make it 4 hours if you really wanted to. A 4-hour event. They could stretch it. Give Seth 3 hours of rest before he's got to go back out there and wrestle. Do you do it? Is he cleared? If he's medically cleared, it's not a problem. He wrestles twice in one night. He's kind of blown up. I just feel like you're not getting the entire best match that you could get. So I don't even know if Seth or Drew are on night 1. I can tell you that Rhea and Becky are going to be on night 1. They're going to close out night 1. WWE loves to have a women's match, respectfully so. I mean that respectfully. I'm not saying it shouldn't be there, but WWE makes sure they have a point of making sure that there's always at least one of the women's title matches headlining one of the nights. And it's usually always night 1. The men's get night 2. Usually, some years they flip it up. So I think Rhea and Becky night 1 close it out. So we go over to night 2. I think you get the U.S. title match that I was talking about. I think you get Logan Paul and LA Knight definitely. Maybe a third with KO, with him being in the chamber as well. Maybe those 3 keep it going. And Aldis has no choice but to put all 3 in the match together. And again, triple threats are always the best way to go. Logan is hot. KO has been amazing. If Knight's still got to decide who's going to take the pin. Probably Logan, because then Logan go away for a little bit, pop back up when Money in the Bank comes. Take a month off. That way KO doesn't look weak, and he can you set up a rematch between KO and LA Knight. You never pin me, all that good stuff. Let's not forget about the women's tag matches, the tag belts, I should say. Like Buki Warriors. Don't really know. That could be a wild fatal 4-way match. They could have, across all 3 brands, who have them have tournaments and, have like the ultimate team face them at Mania. Again, Raw or SmackDown, whichever one you want, will get their respective shot having their own belts. And this is where things get a little weird. I think you see Io and Bayley. You see that match happens on night 2. You may have a women's tag showcase, which I think they need. But if the women's tag belts are having as a fatal 4-way, I don't think you can have 2 of those. It's a lot of match. It's a lot of match to watch, and those matches aren't 10, 15 minutes. They're long. So if it's a 2-on-2 match for the women's tag titles, then you probably have a women's showcase with the other 4 teams that didn't get it. And I'll say it again, just like I did with the men, the women's have amazing tag teams, and they make sense. They did so well to make sure the teams that are together, these girls make sense. Not just thrown together, all willy-nilly, and hey, go out there and win the belts, or go out there and just wrestle some matches. So ultimately, night 2, you could see Seth and Drew, Cody, Roman. You could. Again, in my world, there's a tag match between all 4 of them. Do you have them? Is it safe? Is it safe to have them? To have Seth and Drew wrestle at the end of night 1? I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know. Again, whatever it is, they've already talked about it, figured it out. Probably all hinges on how Seth is doing and how his knee is doing. If he is clear, if they want to take it easy, then you'll have night 2 is going to be stacked. But it's not necessarily taking away from night 1. You just move a lot of stuff over to night. Move a lot of stuff over to night 1. It's not a big deal. It's just maybe move the U.S. title over to night 1 as well. And just if you have Bailey and Io, Seth and Drew, Cody and Roman. The smack. That's still 5 to 6 matches you can have on night 2 that are going to be amazing. And if you throw the women's tag showcase in there, I think it's amazing. So it's perfectly done. That's how I see it going. I think it's going to be amazing. It's definitely going to be one of the biggest WrestleManias in a long time, probably since 17. With Rock Austin, I think 17 was probably one of the best cards that they've had ever, and I think 40 is really, really, really close. And the fact if you could have had the CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Brock Lesnar and Gunther, like, that would have just been cherry on top. But what the future holds for Brock Lesnar, we don't know. So unfortunately, we got to shelf that for now. Obviously, CM Punk will be back. I think that's a Money in the Bank comeback. We'll talk about that after Mania. Once we start talking about Backlash and they'll look ahead for the next couple months, how the title picture is going to be shaken out once all the dust settles and all the new champions and are crowned and champions retain and Mania. So, yeah, that's how we got it. Just wanted to touch base with you guys, talk about that a little bit. So obviously enjoy SmackDown this week. Like I said, Rock, Roman, and Heyman coming down to talk to Paul on SmackDown. Yeah, get ready for Elimination Chamber next week. We'll get together. Next week. We'll talk about once the field is set for the men's and the women's. We'll get together. We'll talk about that and see if any of these predictions hold up. We'll talk about what's going on after that. We'll also talk about Raw and NXT as well. So, with that being said, if you're not already, please follow us on Twitter at ShareShotSports. It's also the same handle on YouTube, which you're watching right now. If you haven't already, please shoot us a subscribe. We do our best. We put out some weekly content. Feel free to get in the comments, something you want to see, something we're doing wrong. Feel free to shoot me any questions as well. Anything really good, we'll go ahead and answer that in a future show as well. And also follow us on Spotify at ShareShotSports and also on Instagram as well at the same handle. So with that being said, I'm Johnny Anthony. Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys later.